Well, first, I grew up in New York City on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, but I started spending summers in Provincetown as as a relatively a young kid, and just was um, really taken by the unbridled creativity of Provincetown. It just seemed like it was ubiquitous, even though it's a relatively small area. There are so many different forms of art that really kind of inspired me to find my niche in all of it. Being surrounded by artists and writers and the like, it seemed to speak to me at a young age to because because people in Provincetown seem very happy and yeah, pursuing their passion. So it's something that I found appealing from a young age, and sought to chart my own course. And then when I went to Vassar College, which was a school that was relatively small but packed a punch, I felt that it provided fertile ground for me to explore some of those passions, particularly sports writing. I became a columnist on, the Miscellany News, which was the Vassar newspaper. Eventually transitioned to the sports editor position, and this is while I was also playing collegiate tennis there as well. So I think, everybody always makes a choice in college about whether you want to be a little fish in a big pond or a big fish in a little pond. And I enjoyed the big fish in a little pond because it allowed me to really, um, you have my tentacles in a number of different areas and really um, find creative outlets that spoke to me. And so my senior year at Vassar, I parlayed some of my sports writing into an internship at NBC Sports. And that's when I really got the bug. And I would travel down from Poughkeepsie a couple of days a week in my senior year, and was working with a features producer for NBC Sports. And fortunately, I put fortunately in quotes, he was an awful writer. So he allowed me to write his features, and I was still in college. And that really gave me the bug to hear my words being spoken on NBC Sports, and I'm still in college. It's like, wow, this is, maybe this industry is for me. So I would say that, that internship was so pivotal for me, because then I parlayed that into getting a job interview, yes, at NBA Entertainment, which was the production wing of the NBA, filmmaking wing of the NBA. And so about 6 months after graduating from Vassar, I found myself at NBA Entertainment. And it was a place where you could really, if you wanted to be an editor, you could be an editor. If you wanted to be a writer, you could pursue that. If you wanted to be a cinematographer, there was the opportunity to do that. It was really like going to film school, but actually you were getting paid to be there. Not much, mind you. I still remember my salary was $16,000 a year when I started, but that time at the NBA, people always say, well, where'd you go to college? I went to Vassar for 4 years, and I went to NBA Entertainment for 10 afterwards. And that was a bunch of young folks in their 20s really finding their creative voice. And for me, very early on, that was writing and editing. At age 23, I was asked to join a project called Come Fly With Me, which was a home video on Michael Jordan. And the original plan was for me to be a production assistant, but I pushed and stayed aggressive, and eventually I was able to convince my higher ups to allow me to write it. And so I co-wrote it with a lifelong friend of mine. And again, at age 24, being able to tell Michael Jordan's story from a narration perspective was very intoxicating.